Hello, Nari McDiarmid for miningnews.net, and it's great to be speaking with Mike Dunbar, Managing Director and Chief Executive at Emmerson Resources. Now, Mike, you obviously like the look of Emmerson because you joined the company last year, but how would you describe it to a potential investor?
Now, Emmerson is quite an exciting project and company for me, and that's why I joined. It's a has been historically a Northern Territory focused copper and gold explorer, and we've got a very large package of ground around the Tennant Creek district in the Northern Territory, which has become a bit of a hotspot for exploration and a lot of exploration, certainly to the east in the Barkly. So very advanced projects, and the Tennant Creek district's produced over 5.5 million ounces of gold. So it's probably one of the least known very, very high grade gold fields in Australia. And on top of that, we have other projects down in New South Wales as well. So while our main focus is Northern Territory, we are also exploring in New South Wales as well.
Can we take a close look, Mike, at the highlights of your Tennant Creek project, your flagship project there?
Yeah, so the Tennant Creek project, we're in a joint venture with a private group called Tennant Consolidated Mining, TCMG. They are earning their right to 75% of the project by spending $10.5 million on exploration. We are managing that exploration and we're undertaking the work. And so it's the best of both worlds. We form an exploration joint venture whereby 75-25 at the moment, they're earning to 75%. But then on top of that, there's a mining joint venture where for relatively modest sized deposits, so under 250,000 ounces, they get 100% of the project, but we get a production royalty of 6% of anything produced from our project. So no costs come out, we're not exposed to any costs or any of the risks associated with mining, and get a very healthy royalty. So it's a really interesting project. We have also got some ground 100% owned ourselves at the Hermitage project, where we, about 2 years ago, drilled 119 metres at 3% copper, plus gold as well. So a very high grade project there, and Edna Beryl, another small, very high grade gold mine there as well. So we've got a big package of ground, a joint venture partner who's funding it, and clear pathway towards production and towards cash flow through that royalty. So it's a really great position to be in, that's for sure.
Mike, you mentioned Emmerson's exploration expertise, and you have been recording some high-grade results lately, 43.2 grams per tonne fairly recently. And so you've got the Tennant Creek joint venture and 100% owned projects, plus the New South Wales projects you mentioned before. What's your focus going to be this calendar year?
This calendar year, the focus is going to be continuing the exploration around Tennant Creek. Bit of a two-pronged approach in that we will be exploring on the joint venture ground. You're right, we have just had some nice high-grade hits from our Golden 40 project, which forms part of the exploration joint venture. In the coming months, I'm expecting a resource estimate for Golden 40, a resource estimate for another high-grade gold project, which historically produced at over 20 grams per tonne, called El Dorado. And in the shorter term, I'm just reviewing the mine plans and the reserve prospects we have at 3 of our other mines, which will feed into that royalty stream, and then into the mine and the mill when TCMG relocate the mill that they've already purchased from Cloncurry across to Tennant Creek to start the production. So it's a busy year on a number of fronts. Tennant Creek certainly will be one of the focuses, and then in New South Wales, we've got we're searching for elephants in that area. Big porphyry copper gold targets that we've got. We'll be doing some work down there as well this year, really with a view to bringing on a large joint venture partner to help fund that search for the elephants in the Macquarie Arc of New South Wales. So, yeah, there's a fair bit going on, that's for sure.
In terms of who's guiding what's going on, Mike, what would you like people to understand about the leadership at Emmerson?
Oh, look, stability, I think, is probably the biggest key. Even though I've just come in, and it's a bit hard to say stability when I've just joined 6 months ago. But the chairman, Andrew McElwain, has been with Emmerson since its inception in 2007, and Rob Bills, who was my predecessor, he is still on the board. We've also got Alan Trench and Alan Tate on the board, but that gives us a really broad range of skill sets on the board, but stability. The other thing that we are looking at, and it is worth mentioning to the investors, we are also looking and on the search for new project opportunities. But the focus is going to remain in the Northern Territory. Certainly, Western Australia, I would actively explore and look at as well, and potentially Queensland. So if you like, the northern part of Australia, and really leveraging on the team's experience in the Northern Territory in particular. So it's a really exciting period and a great opportunity, I think, for the year ahead and beyond.
Well, speaking of potential investors, as you mentioned, Mike, in a nutshell, what are Emmerson's investment highlights?
Really quite unique, I think, in a lot of respects, because we have got the exploration, the joint venture. We have been doing all of our exploration, or not all, the vast majority of it, I should say, with joint venture funds. The capital structure is relatively tight, which is great, but we've also got a potential income stream through that royalty program that I've mentioned. And so we've got a royalty business, or will have a royalty business, and an mineral exploration business as well, which is a fantastic opportunity and helps us minimise dilution to shareholders. In the foreseeable future, the TCMG will build the mill. If they haven't produced 60,000 ounces within 5 years of commencing the joint venture, and they commenced in November 2020, then they've got to pay us a royalty on 60,000 ounces, regardless of whether they've started to produce or not. So we're pretty much guaranteed 6% of 60,000 ounces as a minimum payment, and that's in today's gold price, that's around $11 million. Plus, on top of that, a 6% royalty on any production out of our assets. So there's certainly visibility to income coming in to help minimise and protect shareholders and potential investors from unnecessary dilution going forward.
A busy year ahead, as you say, Mike. Thank you very much for speaking today.
No drums. Thanks very much for the time, and thanks to the listeners, and looking forward to hopefully seeing as many as I can in Sydney in March.